Okay, welcome back. How was lunch? Good? Thumbs up? It's a good thing. That may be the biggest sandwich I've ever eaten, I think. So thanks again to Hy-Vee for providing that. We really appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and get everything started here, and I have the distinct pleasure of introducing the Belton Mayor, Mayor Jeff Davis. Come on down, Mayor.
Well, good afternoon. What a great day to be here. Good crowd, good group. Welcome, Grandview. Glad to have you all here. This is a great day for all of us to celebrate. In the spirit of wishing that everybody could be here and knowing that we went through a great crisis in our lives. So thanks, Diane, for the Chamber's efforts to get everything set up here. Our Chamber's done a great job, and we've worked now together with the Grandview Chamber a few years, and we really appreciate what Grandview has done. We really respect the fact that we can work together with other cities. We work real close because we're regionalism. Wow, what a day. Regionalism. And we work with Raymore, Peculiar, Harrisonville, and we work really close with Grandview also. The cities do. And we've got projects that we've had together with them. We worked with 2 grants on transportation with Grandview recently. We didn't get the grants, but we're working together. That was for buses, you know, to get them coming through and go through North Cass. And that's important to all us. But again, it's great to see everybody. This is one of the first ones we've got to have since the COVID, and that's what this is all about. So again, I'd like to say that the healthcare people that are here this afternoon, you got to know that this is all about you. I've got a daughter-in-law that's a nurse. I've got a nurse practitioner. Wow. And I've got a son that's a nurse. And I got to tell you, we've all went through all this crisis, and we really feel, we reach out for you. We think that you all have done a miraculous job of saving people's lives and being there through the good and the bad. And we appreciate everything. Belton Regional, what can I say? It's come a long ways. Todd, this is incredible. Well, Belton Regional has done so much in our communities. They're important. St. Joseph, the same thing. They've done a great job. And I also like to say that keeping our community safe is critical, and been busy. Really been busy here. We're grateful for the sacrifice on the front line healthcare workers made, and sometimes it's gone unnoticed. I feel it, we feel it. I don't know how you have got through it this far. I don't know how. What a sacrifice. I know that the kids, our kids, would go home, change clothes in the garage, get into other clothes and take their other clothes in and wash them every night. I mean, the things that you have to go through to make it happen. And we're proud of the fact. This past year, unprecedented. You know, you'll tell your great grandkids about this. This is one of those things that happens in a lifetime. It's difficult, the challenges. And we feel like y'all are heroes, and we really believe that. That's my neighbor's kids, by the way, and they're really great. Wonderful kids. But pulling us out of this pandemic hasn't been easy. And again, I can't tell you that we would have never made it. The numbers, Cass County's done a great job. We appreciate the work that we've done with our healthcare in Cass County, and I'm sure with Jackson County, with Grandview. They've done a great job. And I know that the commissioners back there, and I got to see his state of the county yesterday, and I was proud of what's gone on in our county and how the effort's been to try to save people's lives. And of course, we still care about the people that didn't make the long trip. And so we care. Now, we've recently got a transportation grant to reconstruct Belton here. We're going to reconstruct north up the road here. We're going to go to North Scott. And it's going to be amazing. And it'll be a little while before the money comes in, but the grant, North Scott will go from 4 lanes to 3 lanes, an additional bike lane, replacement of curbs, sidewalks that are in bad shape. So we're happy for Belton there. City staff is contemplating a 353 to spur redevelopment to the heart of our city. It will be awesome to see great progress made in these parts of the community. One of the things that Carolyn, our economic developer, told us the other night is that a lot of the houses around downtown Belton are 8 of the houses were built in 1870 to 1930. And so that tells you what we're working with. Southview Commerce Center, that's out at the old abandoned golf course. I walk on the trail all the time. People don't know it's out there. I shouldn't tell y'all because it's really nice to be out there by yourself. And it's really wonderful. It is terrific, but they're great partners. And they've made great progress. They're the best partner you could ever get. And the staff's done a great job of partnering with these folks. Chewy expects to open in the summertime, this summer. And that's starting out with 1,200 jobs. And that's going to make a big impact in our areas. Grandview, Belton. Yeah, I like McAllister's too, a lot. So you can tell. But right now, with spring around the corner, Encore, and I'm trying to remember Center 301 apartments. That's 620 new units are coming. North Point built the ones that are just off of 163rd Street, and the Case project is up behind Target. 620 new apartments. Right now we need homes. We're getting homes in Belton all over the place. I'm going to do a video to show all the places where homes are, and we can't talk about some and they'll choke me or stab me if I say what they're working on and have been working on for quite a while. We have some nice homes coming, and it's important. Congratulations to Todd again. You know, $15 million spent on the intensive care unit, and you've spent how much money in the last few years? Go ahead and say it out loud. It's a lot of money. But it's great. And they've had a big effect, especially now we're going to have our new HCA care, urgent care over there at the old, what was that called? See, you forget already, Ruby Tuesdays. There you go. But it'll be coming up right away. They're working like bees over there. It's really special, urgent care. So heroes here, healthcare, heart of our community. Like I said, my neighbor was a healthcare person. And it's special. It is special to know, and you got to care about these folks. So like I said before, we're grateful for your dedication. We're glad to have you here today and the work that you've done through, and I don't know how you've done it, but thank you very much. Appreciate it. Now.
See one more stuff. Thank you, Mayor Davis. We really appreciate that update there. And you know, as a member of or a community member of Belton, I have my business here. I'm truly impressed and proud to be a part of this community and the work that you guys have done sitting at that table over there, Alexa and Carolyn and Mayor Davis. So thank you for all that you do. I appreciate it. So keeping us on schedule here, not all of us can be here today, right? So in the spirit of trying to keep things within some of the mandate orders and all that we have going on, the mayor of Grandview, Mayor Leonard Jones, is actually going to be joining us via pre-recorded right up here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn that over to Alan, who's going to push the button and did pre-warn me. It's going to take a couple of seconds, so just bear with us. for the big hand to Alan Kinder for all of his work with our technology. This isn't easy. As you can imagine, we've had to pivot quite a bit over the last year, and God, have we all heard that word a million times over the last year. But, you know, look, there's certain things that we as community leaders and we as individuals of the community need to be a part of. And so when we are a part of those things in a world such as COVID, we have to pivot from time to time. So I think everybody heard me introduce myself a little bit earlier, but I am Fred Yonker. I am the board president for the Belton Chamber of Commerce. My business is right here in Belton on Main Street. So happy to have been a part of the Belton Chamber now for 5 years. One of the very first people that I got a chance to meet when I came into Belton was Miss Diane Hepshorn, sitting right in front of me here. And I've said this many, many times before, and I'll continue to say it now. Joining the chamber was one of the best things I possibly could have done for my business. Not only for that, it also was one of the best things I possibly could have done for some of the friendships that we've been able to forge during that time. So eternally grateful to you, Diane, and to Lori for everything that you guys do. With that, we're here to honor our healthcare heroes. So if you are a healthcare hero, if you work in healthcare, if you could please stand up. First and foremost, thank you so much for being here. I know that in the times that we're in right now, it's extremely difficult for you to get away, break away, do some things like this. It's wonderful that we're able to do this today in the world that we're living in. Look, the last year's been crazy, right? You know, if you haven't been working in healthcare, it's been crazy. If you have been, oh my. It's been a whirlwind. I've been lucky enough to be joined today by my sister-in-law, Lindsay. She is a nurse over at Research Medical Center. Her husband, my brother-in-law, is also a nurse and is currently in school to become a nurse anesthetist. They've been in it. And so I've had an intimate view of what they've had to go through every single day and the stories that they've had. And the people that we've lost. It's hard, right? But the people sitting around this room that we're honoring today are the ones that have the fortitude to do much of the things that many of us wouldn't be able to walk into work and do the things that some of us would think unthinkable. For that, we're eternally grateful. For those of you that know me, you already know I'm an emotional guy, so sorry. Thank you again for everything that you do. We truly appreciate it. You'll never know how much we all do. To the Grandview Chamber of Commerce, welcome. We're so happy to be a part of a friendship and a partnership like this. It allows us to expand our network and allows us to move our businesses forward and out into the larger reaches of the Kansas City and surrounding areas. It's not always that you find these partnerships that work as well as what we've been able to forge over the last 4 years with the Grandview Chamber and beyond. But we are very, very lucky to have you all here as friends and as partners. And thank you so much for joining us, both virtually and in person. So thank you for that. What a difference a year makes, right? So this time last year, my nephew and my niece are very excited that they're able to be out, as are we. This time last year, we weren't doing this. my wife and I and our 4 kids went down to Branson, and I remember, show of hands, who's always been down to Branson, right? Probably almost everybody in this room. Ever driven down Main Street in Branson? It's like a parking lot. Well, all this started when we were down in Branson for spring break, and it was like a ghost town. Terrifying, right? It's bizarre to think about those things and to think that these types of things, they just don't happen, right? That's in the movies. We don't see this kind of stuff in our world. And then all of a sudden it was at our doorstep. As far as the chamber goes, one of the reasons why I joined the chamber was for the networking. It was the main reason why I joined the chamber was for the networking. Now all of a sudden, can't do that. What's this new thing called Zoom? What's that? I'd never even heard of it until the pandemic hit. Now we're all experts at it. Well, what a difference a year makes. Here we are. The pandemic is hopefully turning its tail and tucking because our healthcare workers and the researchers that work along with them have done a phenomenal job with kicking its butt. There is some light at the end of the tunnel. Moving forward, we'll learn from it. As a chamber, we're going to learn from it. As communities, we're going to learn from it. And we're going to be better for it. And we're going to be better because we've been led by the people that are in this room, the people that allow us to continue to do the things that we love to do because they're keeping us safe. So thank you once again to all of the heroes that are here, our first responders, our hospital workers, our hospice workers, anybody who is in healthcare, and any of the unsung heroes that I have forgotten. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. We appreciate you. With that being said, you get to see my face a lot today, so I'll smile a lot for you. With that being said, I'd like to turn it over to our first keynote speaker, Jody Fincher, CEO of St. Joseph Medical Center. And Jody, there you are. Hi, Jody.
Oh my goodness, good afternoon. I can't tell you how nice it is to gather again and to be in a setting where we can feel your energy and feel your passion. And thank you so much for taking time today to recognize the work that has been done inside the hospital. And Fred, thank you for mentioning all the other healthcare providers that are outside of the hospital. Here today, I've met people from post-acute facilities, nursing homes, skilled care, rehab, home health, private physician offices. None of us have gone untouched because of this pandemic. But again, thank you for recognizing the work that's been done in the hospital. So, and this opportunity for me to get to share a little bit of the inside of what happened over this past year. So we know that 2020 was a year like no other. It was a year, and I've been in healthcare for 35 years. I'm sure Todd will tell you the same thing, that we've never seen anything like it. And unfortunately, the theme of this year has been fear and trepidation and loss and uncertainty, and many, many negative things can be said and recounted about this year. But I would like to take this opportunity today to talk to you about the amazing things that happened in our hospital, and I'm sure many hospitals across the country, where our true heroes rose above. They leaned in when it was not comfortable to be where they were, to save many, many lives. We've talked about the lives that were lost and the sadness that everyone has felt from that, but many lives were saved. And that's what I want to talk about and help you see from the seat I was sitting in today. I am also a nurse and spent 20 years at the bedside in an ICU. And so for me, this brings even greater meaning because I could really feel and see what our frontline leaders were going through. So 2020, really, I have summed it up as the year of shortages. We started off with the shortage of PPE. So when this all happened, there was shortage of essentially everything: masks, gowns, gloves, many things. And it was really a struggle to figure out how to source supplies and how to manage supplies so that we did not ever run out. Then came the shortage of medications, and not just the medicines that we directly use to treat COVID, but all the respiratory medications, the bronchodilators and the steroids and all those adjunctive medicines that we use to help these patients through this illness. Then we even endured, sadly and morbidly, the shortage of body bags to put our deceased in when we lost them. Then came the shortage of staff, as more and more of our staff members got COVID, and even more impactful was as their family members got COVID, and then they couldn't come to work because they were living with someone with COVID. Then came the shortage of childcare. So schools closed and our associates didn't have anywhere to send their children. So they were making these horrible, awful decisions about, do I stay at home with my kids? Do I go to work? One of the most difficult decisions our associates had to make. And then even came with vaccine, but the access to vaccine, and we're still currently feeling that. So it's just been one shortage after another after another. But what I can assure you of during this year that there was not a shortage of was compassion from the people who were in the thick of this, all of the healthcare workers. Despite what I can only imagine would be the most draining and just energy-sucking situation that a healthcare person could be in, compassion never waned. And in fact, it just became greater and greater. And we saw example after example of extraordinary healthcare workers providing extraordinary care. Healthcare workers had to really balance this work and home life. You know, this was really the scariest year I can think of in modern times. And so they were at work giving it their all when really they wanted to be at home with their families more than ever, keeping them safe and ensuring them that they're safe. And in the middle of a year of death and inconceivable loss, our heroes arose. And so I'd like to give you a few examples of some of our heroes, because it just wasn't our clinical heroes. An example is our environmental service and housekeeping staff. So they bravely entered rooms of COVID patients, keeping the rooms clean and organized, as well as when COVID patients passed, they would go in and terminally clean the room to assure that the next patient who came in had a safe environment to be in our system. Our pharmacy team, who quickly had to incorporate many new medications and protocols to help our physicians care for these patients. They also help us stand up a vaccination clinic where I'm so proud to say we vaccinated over 1,000 associates and providers over a very short amount of time. Even our IT team had to help us quickly stand up the ability to see patients virtually through telehealth visits so that we could continue to see our patients and make sure they're staying safe and healthy. Our respiratory therapy team. Here was a team who at times we would have up to 40 COVID patients in the hospital at a time. And those patients require constant vigilance. The ventilators that they're on have to constantly be adjusted to make sure that we're delivering the right amount of pressures and oxygen. And that was nonstop for them, 12 hours at a time, day after day after day. Our rehab services team, who worked with these patients, even when they were sedated and on the ventilator, to make sure they maintained as much muscle strength and tone as they could, so when they did get better, they could recover faster. Our lab team had to very quickly incorporate new lab tests, new lab equipment, and do all the validations of those things to make sure that we could diagnose quickly our COVID patients so that we could start delivering care as fast as possible. Our radiology teams had to completely change the way they manage patients in the department and how we transport patients through the hospital who were COVID positive. Certainly our medical staff was phenomenal, and they too were making adjustments every single day as new information and new research came out on how to best care for these COVID patients. Our providers also became the sounding boards for patients and families and even our associates as we went through this very scary year. And of course, our nursing staff, because I'm a little biased because I am one, but they were phenomenal. You know, a nurse really is what I say, the intersection between the patient and everything else that comes to the patient. So they really are the coordinators of the care, the labs, the treatments, the rounding, the communication with the families. And I couldn't be more proud of how our nurses rose to that challenge and really orchestrated the care of these COVID patients when the day before they had never taken care of a COVID patient. So to see everyone come together in the care of these patients was something that I'll never forget. So as we honor these heroes, it's worth recognizing what they represented over this past year. They represented thousands of hours at the bedside of COVID patients, as well as thousands of hours that they would have liked to have been at home with their families during the scariest year in modern times. These were the faces that patients see as they awaken from days and even weeks of mechanical ventilation and sedation. These are the last faces that patients would see before they finally succumbed to this awful virus and passed on. These were the faces that replaced the family and loved ones that these patients could not see during their illness. These were the voices of encouragement patients heard every day. These are the hands that touch, comfort, clean, and care for these patients day after day after day after day. These are the people who give and give and give, even when their mind, body, and spirits have felt drained and dry. These are the people who deserve our ongoing and never-ending thanks, gratitude, and respect for their service above self. These are the people who have answered the call to care, even when they would have loved to let that call go to voicemail. These are the people who need to know that they are unique and distinct in what they do. No one else can do this. And for that, we are eternally grateful. So if you know anyone who has served in our community in healthcare, whether it was in hospital or any other healthcare setting, please join me in thanking them and saluting their bravery and valor. Through and because of the incredible work of our heroes, St. Joseph Medical Center has emerged really better emotionally and financially. We're in a good place and ready to look ahead and continue to serve the mission of the Sisters of St. Joseph, the founders of our hospital. We continue to watch COVID and its mutant strains closely, and we'll be ready if another surge happens, and we hope that it doesn't. We're seeing our numbers come down and down and down, both in our hospital, our community, and across the nation, and we really hope that's an ongoing trend. We have weekly requested additional vaccine so that we can begin to participate in community vaccination. Now, our state has chosen to go in a little different direction, utilizing and giving vaccine to sites that can do more vaccinations, like 5,000 a week. And so we're not quite there yet, but we're going to continue trying because we want to be a part of the vaccination solution. We're growing our primary care base. We're expanding our cardiac programs. We're continuing to honor our seniors by providing world-class care to them. We will soon be announcing our recent accreditation in the geriatric fracture program, which continues our endeavor to be the hospital of choice for seniors in our community. And we thank all of you for your continued support of the hospital during this very difficult time. Our community members have participated in our Honking for Heroes events, have donated food to our staff, have donated PPE from various sources, and have kept our staff in your thoughts and prayers. Our heroes were never forgotten. And on behalf of St. Joseph Medical Center, we thank you from the bottoms of our heart. We look forward to a better 2021, safer, healthier, growth, getting out, seeing one another, gathering, and getting back to whatever our new normal is. So on behalf of St. Joseph Medical Center and healthcare providers everywhere, thanks to all of you for your support.
I think I'd be used to that by now, but I'm just not. Jody, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the work that you've done. We really appreciate your words. So moving forward, I get the distinct pleasure of introducing not only a person that I've gotten to know well, but I also consider a friend. And as he was so aptly named earlier, the one and only Todd Crass.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Todd Crass, CEO for Belton Regional Medical Center. You know, Jody, I couldn't have summed up the year better. I think I'm not going to go through that whole process again because our experience is very similar to what you went through at St. Joseph Medical Center. It's a pleasure to be here before you. I'm not really sure what the one and only thing's about, but we'll figure that out. Mayor Davis did count it up. We're at about $110 million now since I joined Belton Regional in 2005 with the investments to the hospital. And it's just continuing to grow. Today, excuse me, it all started in March, you know, right at the time when the Big 12 basketball tournament's supposed to happen, and suddenly, boom, no tournament. And I sum up the year as a term I use, anxiety, fear of unknown origin, fear of the unknown. And that's what we all experienced, whether we were healthcare providers trying to learn and understand how to treat COVID, the fact that you had to use anticoagulants, you had to put people face down for ventilation. We learned so much, the doctors didn't really know what to do. I've tried my best to immerse myself in understanding it just so I can be a messenger, to offer hope to the people that really did the work every day. I know with our HCA Midwest division here in our hospitals here, we focused on resiliency, financial resiliency, human resiliency, not just resolve, but the fact that we can take a punch and bounce back and come up with a better way to do it. We also experienced the same shortages across the board and everything that Jody mentioned. But today I wanted to take a moment just to say thank you for the recognition. All of us had to deal with our own anxiety, whether it's at work. I still remember the first employee that came down with symptoms at work. And I still remember the fear that went through the whole ER that day. And I still remember when we decided to get creative with how we managed our population. We turned our ambulance bay into a respiratory triage area because it had bigger space and better ventilation. So we could keep our emergency room clean for the other citizens that still were suffering from heart attacks and fractured hips and strokes, burst appendicitis and gallbladders that broke out. You know, we still had to provide that care. So it was a very creative, talented team at Belton Regional Medical Center. With a lot of them are here today, the leaders of our team, and I wanted to make sure I take time to recognize them because they're really the faces behind what happened this year. Started off, we came up with this idea. We saw the news, we saw Italy, we saw New York. Oh my gosh, it's coming. I have to go to the garage and send my family away. I have to move into a hotel room, only to find out it didn't happen initially. It just kind of went on a big pause, the month of April and May. We saw a few cases here and there. And then we saw it start to pick up. I've always said people, this is one good thing about living in flyover country. You know, people don't come to our community for vacations a lot. We usually go someplace else and then bring it back. And that's kind of how we saw this transmission start to spread. This year has been very beneficial from a community involvement growth perspective for me. I don't think I've ever been more involved with our county leadership, our parks and recreation, our city leadership, our schools, our EMS providers, our long-term care providers, because we all had to reach out and help each other in lots of different ways. We really had to extend ourselves and figure out how to create positive relationships and partnerships to get through what I would call a grinding 12-hour day. As some of my colleagues were getting to work from home or from their vacation house in Florida or from their lake house at the Ozarks, I got up every morning at 6 a.m., had my coffee, and drove to work. Worked for 10 or 12 hours, returned and did the same. Repeat, recycle, do the same. Our nursing staff did the same thing. 2020 was a year of celebration for me personally. A couple of daughters got married. We managed to pull that off between the pandemic surges, one in March and one in September. But it's also a year of great loss and tragedy. We look at the folks that we know that came through our hospital. The early onset ones that came through that we really weren't sure how to treat at Research Medical Center. We would stabilize and transfer because we did want to keep our facility open to the rest of the healthcare needs that were out there too. And then early fall, a very well-known, well thought of man, Dr. Kirk Barnett, contracted COVID and passed away. That was painful. So it's left a big hole, not only in our heart, but also a hole in Grandview when it comes to a healthcare provider that has given 35 to 40 years of his life to taking care of the citizens of Grandview. And even more tragic and just as similar, Heather Palmer, our chief nursing officer, out of the blue in the fall, contracted a very rare blood cancer. And from admission to our hospital, transfer to research, to death was about 6 weeks. She's 46 years old. And that really brought us together as a family as we had to work around that. Jody, I also been a nurse. I've been a director of nursing in the past, so I stepped into that role for a short period of time and give a lot of credit to the leadership that's here today for tolerating me and us growing together and getting through this issue and letting enough time and healing pass so we could find a new chief nursing officer. We also lost a cardiologist here from a sudden onset, Dr. Elizabeth Dang, who started Go Red for Women activities here in this community. And right here in this room would pack the house, 300 people in here. And it was a real tragic loss. So we've dealt with our losses. We have fond memories, but we have to have the resolve to move forward. Life is going to continue to move on with or without us. And our attitude and our optimism is what carries us through every day. So we coined the phrase, hashtag care like family to kind of get us through. Every one of our meetings, every time we'd meet to talk about PPE and how we manage COVID and having our crisis command starts with our mission statement. Above all else, we're committed to the care and improvement of human life. And it helps us to refocus our efforts and remember that I don't have it with me, but we all took big pictures of ourselves because when it's scary enough to go to a hospital, it's really terrifying when you don't know what anyone looks like. And they're going to touch you in places you haven't been touched since you were a toddler. They're going to do things with you and for you that are frightening and scary. So we did creative things. We took these huge photos and we stuck them to our name badges so people can see the face behind the mask. And it had a profound impact on all of our patients. A lot of progress is happening. We took a year off of our ICU expansion because of COVID. Subcontractors have been notified. They've been out and bid the place, and you'll start to see some serious activity in May. It's about a 16-month build, but we're excited about it. 14 beds, straight up on top of our ER, and we'll continue to look at the incredible growth of our primary service area, Grandview, Raymore, Belton, and Peculiar. We're already starting to do planning work for our third floor. I think if I have my way, project will start just as the ICU ends. And would really like to see that come to fruition because that allows us to grow to meet the community's needs. And my number one goal here is to minimize the transfers out of Belton's ER continue to bring the specialists to our hospital that can take care of you. And so the citizens can continue to get the needs met right here close to home. Before I go any further, I want a few people to join me up here. I do have a photo op coming. We got Carrie Johnson, our Director of Marketing, is here today. Tiffany Mason is our new COO. She started in October. But I really want the other folks that come up here with me. Leanne Mawson, come on, get up here. I know we're on Zoom and it's gonna be hard to fit everybody up here, so don't worry about it. I just need to have a chance to tell you a little bit about the special people that really made all this happen this year. Leanne is our Director of Physical Therapy and Sports Medicine. She's gonna be operating with the Care Now Urgent Care Clinic as we're gonna move our physical therapy and sports medicine in the same building starting in May. But Leanne, as you can imagine, when we came on to be here, everyone's jobs changed. There was no physical therapy appointments. No patients were coming to the hospital because they were scared. I talked to our EMS providers. They announced and pronounced more people dead in their home than they ever have in a 2-month period of time because people were choosing to stay home, suffering from heart attacks and strokes instead of coming to the hospital just out of pure fear. So Leanne, we needed a PPE czar. We needed someone to be completely in charge of our personal protective equipment because we didn't want it walking out of the building. We wanted to make sure that we would conserve it. So sometimes people are asked, some people volunteer, sometimes they're voluntold. Leanne stepped up and for several months picked up the duty of managing our PPE. She also stepped up and did the interim job of managing our housekeeping services and environmental services. And now it's fun to kind of watch her get back and doing what she's trained to do, which is be a physical therapist. So Leanne Mawson, thank you so much. Come on up here too. No, stay up here. Amanda Martino, come on up. Amanda also was our clinical nurse specialist for patient experience and work on the upstairs. But as our vice president of quality got promoted, I needed another quality director. So again, we said, Leanne, you have the great skills. You know what you're doing. So she stepped into the vice president of quality duties, but she's now become our vaccination czar. We've been fortunate to be attached with HCA. So now we are in the mass vaccination clinic process. We're actually partnering with St. Luke's. And that's kind of goes on to tell you again, fierce competitors come together when we need to for the good of the community. And to have St. Luke's and HCA join forces to get 5,000 doses every week, and we share them with them. Some are happening at Centerpoint, some happen at research. We're gonna get our allotment on a monthly basis of 500 to 1,000. And I'm gonna partner with the health department, start doing mass vax clinics here in Belton. Whether it's gonna be right here in this building or whether it's gonna be outdoors at the school district's Yoakum School building, I'm not sure yet, but those things are gonna come and they're gonna happen fast, starting in March. But, getting back to Amanda, she has single-handedly managed the vaccination process. I think they know her by name and voice in Jefferson City now because she pointed out all the flaws of the Show Me Vax site and got them corrected and fixed because things didn't work, and she just has that way of doing things. So really want to recognize Amanda. Come on up here, Jamie Robinson, Kelsey Hobson, and Lindsay Goldhammer, come on up here too. Jamie Robinson has been with us. She was our previous ER director. A year and a half or so ago, she moved into our inpatient service line director. So she's been helping us with our inpatient services, our critical care, our surgery, and our telemetry. And Jamie's just had to carry the load upstairs just as we would surge and get busy and we'd kind of flatten out again and we'd surge and get busy, keeping our nurses going and hiring people, getting them involved and getting them oriented. And you talk about a challenge, hire a nurse in the middle of a pandemic and try to train them on what they need to do. No hands-on, it's all virtual. Here, go to this computer and read. You know, so it was a real challenge to find ways to buddy up with people and to continue that mentorship and that onboarding training that's so critical to a young nurse. So Jamie's led that. Next in line is Kelsey Hobson. She's the newest member of our ER management team. She is our emergency services manager. Kelsey was a charge nurse before that, but we're just really thrilled to have her on board. And next to her is Lindsay Goldhammer, who's our director of our emergency services and our emergency preparedness, and has just done a fabulous job. In the midst of all these things, losing a chief nursing officer that we all loved and cared for was really hard. It was emotionally draining. This absolutely sucked the life out of you, thinking what else can go wrong. And at Belton this year, we didn't want to ask that because we didn't want the next one to happen, because it was just seemed like it was that kind of year. But Lindsay and Jamie had really stepped up, and they filled the void of chief nursing officer. They kept the hospital moving forward. Minimal intervention from me. I didn't have to do anything but just play nice. Remember what it's like to be a nurse again and get back into there. But I really want our chambers to understand how wonderful these folks are and what they did. So let's give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. I couldn't be prouder of the team and what they've done, and I couldn't be more grateful to be here today in front of you. It's going on 16 years now that I've been in the community, and I know what Belton was when I got here, and I know what it is today, and I really look forward to the future and continuing to work with the community. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Todd, thank you very much. I've enjoyed working with you. I've served on a couple of different boards with Todd now, and I know how hard you work and how much passion you have behind what you guys do up there, and it shows. It really does. All right. The moment we've all been waiting for is to hear from our two chamber directors. So I would like to formally introduce Kim and Diane. Kim from the Grandview Chamber and Diane from our Belton Chamber. Kim, it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Fred. So glad to be here today. Can I just say that it is wonderful to see people. I've missed seeing everybody so much, and just great to feel the camaraderie and energy that's in the room today. Really appreciate Fred and Diane and Belton Parks and Rec for hosting us at Memorial Station. I also want to thank our Mayor, Leonard Jones, and our Chairman, Patty Carbaugh, for taking the time to do the videos and be part of our video experiment. Speaking of that, and I know they've been thanked, is our staff, Sharon Kinder, our communications person, and her husband, Alan, along with the Parks people, for putting together this whole process. We've been here since like 9:30 this morning. We had a few little bobbles, but we managed. Also online, we have with us, you can't see him, but he's there, actually two folks, our city administrator, Jamal Gungor, and our fire chief, Ron Graham. So we thank them for joining us through Zoom. I would also like to take a moment to introduce some of the folks at St. Joseph Medical Center. Trish Vielmeyer is on our board of directors, and Kim Chalmers is part of their marketing program, so we appreciate them being here today. Before I thank, and Todd is also on our board of directors, so we have both hospitals represented within our memberships and within our board, and we very much appreciate how you've kept our communities going, how you're providing for our health, our citizens' health, and our businesses' health. We appreciate you. Diane.
Well, if you thought Fred was emotional, you haven't seen me yet. So I'm gonna abbreviate a lot of what I was going to say because I don't want to tear up and do that ugly cry in front of all of you. So I do so much want to thank Belton Regional Medical Center, Todd, all of the staff for everything that you've done. Jody, St. Joe Medical Center, thank you, as Kim said, for keeping us well, doing amazing things under the worst circumstances that we could ever imagine. So thank you all. Thank all of you from healthcare that are here today. We appreciate what you've done. We appreciate you coming here today. I want to thank both the mayors from Belton and Grandview for leading our communities, for being here today and supporting our chambers, our businesses. Working with the Grandview Chamber is such a pleasure. It is such a pleasure. This is our 4th annual luncheon that we've done. This would have been the Grandview Chamber's year to host. Thought it might be a little easier to move it down to Cass County, so we did. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Kimberly, for everything that you've done. We love working together with you, and we know that we're going to continue doing that. And then I want to thank Lori from my staff. Lori, could you please stand? Lori this is her 4th year anniversary this month, being with the Belton Chamber, and I couldn't be happier. I couldn't be more proud, and it is a true pleasure and honor to work with her, and I love it every single day. I definitely want to thank the board. I think we have a fantastic board, a very engaged board, a diverse board. We're out in the community every day, and we are so appreciative of the support that the community, the businesses have invested with us. So thank you to the board, and thank you to our members for all that you've done with us. I want to thank the City of Belton, Parks and Rec, especially want to thank Andrew with IT. As you said, I'm not the technology person, so thank you, Alan and Andrew, for what you've done to help us get through all of that today. And then I want to thank Hy-Vee too for doing the lunch. They always do a fantastic job, and I think today's lunch is just a testimony to how they are able to pivot and move on a dime. We were increasing our numbers every day as we went along. We didn't know what to expect. Normally we would have 120, 130 people at this luncheon, but obviously those days are not here yet. But we do appreciate them. 2020 obviously struggled with both of our chambers in being able to get out and do events and market and network. But we are blessed that during a pandemic year, the chamber was able to move into our new facility, which we are extremely proud of, very happy with. We also are grateful that we were able to add over 50 new members to our membership last year. We've already added 8 new members this year. One of those new members is actually here in the room today. Brett with the Dogwood Gardens is here. Thank you so much for joining us. You just joined this week. We appreciate that. I'm glad that you're able to come. It's a beautiful event center down in Peculiar if you've not seen it. So we want to absolutely thank them. And the other new member that we got just recently, you don't see them here, but you do see their work. Sign Gypsies. Let's give them a hand for all that they did. They did a great job. We wanted to make sure that the healthcare community knew how much we appreciated you. So Sign Gypsies did this this morning. And we do want to ask that both of the hospitals and all of the healthcare facilities that are here today, please stop and take a picture. We have photo ops outside and inside. Please stop and take a picture and tag the chambers in those photos if you would when you share them. We'd appreciate that. There's a lot of information on your tables from both of the chambers. We have a golf tournament coming up in May. If you're interested in that, we have that on the table. I would certainly be remiss as a chamber director if I didn't mention that if you're interested in joining the Belton Chamber, please see me. We'd love to have you join our chamber if you're not already members. And then the other thing I want to mention is the centerpieces that are on the table, those mugs, the card that went with it that says you're worth a mint to us. I'd like to invite all of the healthcare facility, healthcare workers that are here today, please take one of those mugs with you, take the mints, take the card. We want you to know how much we appreciate you, and you are worth a true mint to us. So thank you so much. And one last thing that I'd like to do is this. We are here to celebrate our healthcare heroes, and we owe them a huge round of applause. But you all deserve a round of applause for what you have been through this year. So thank you again. Thank you for joining us today. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Fred. Thank you.
Kim, Diane, thank you. Diane, thought my first official meeting as the president of the chamber was going pretty well until you reminded me that I ugly cried up here. Thanks for that. All right, not that I'm not gonna be self-conscious about it or anything. We're just gonna move on. So again, closing remarks. I just again want to thank everybody for venturing out, being brave enough to come out here. Thank you to everybody that helped set up and keep everybody safe as they came in here.